goodness, the autocorrect. Oh man. So, ladies and gentlemen, everyone around and in between, it is DebateSensei NPDA edition, not a edition, NPDA edition, where we talk about things that are relevant to the National Parliamentary Debate Association college level competition. I have with me a couple of very special guests. We have Tristan Keene and Brenna Seiersen, the not only this year's national champions, but last year's national champions as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Well, that was great. That was awesome. We've been talking with Paul via the second half of the season, the entire time. He has glowing things to say about you. But I want to get to know y'all better about how you got into debate and then work our way up to your recent success, not only this year, but last year. What were each of y'all's first experiences with debate? Let's start with Tristan, since you're on the left.
Yeah, totally. So I had taken like a speech and debate class in high school. And I always knew I was gonna like go to community college. I never really took like the SATs or ACTs or anything like that. So I was like, I knew I was going to community college, and Diablo Valley College just happened to be the community college closest to my house. And I had just heard like these really glowing reviews about the team in particular, like Paul and Tristan. And I had like my first little like Zoom meeting with them because this was during the pandemic. And
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like that was back in 2020 was my first year competing.
Oh.
And yeah, I just loved that Zoom meeting. I loved Paul and Tristan's energy. They were so welcoming and friendly. And I was like, well, like everything's online. What else am I going to do with my time?
Okay.
Ended up sticking around and really loving it.
Okay, so you started in college. It's excellent. Brenna, did you start at the same time, or do you have?
So no, I started a year prior. So my path was a little weird. So I was homeschooled in high school, and then my sophomore year, I started dual enrollment at community college and at UC. And so I just like one day I woke up and I literally was like, I want to do competitive debate. And so I literally looked up to see like a debate academies around me, and I found a couple. Then my parents were like, no, see if DVC has one so that you can do it for free. And so I looked into it, and then they did have one, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then so I joined, and that was in 2019.
Oh man.
And so I got to compete through spring until I remember like my parents picking me up from a tournament with like the car packed full of things and being like, we're locking down.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I remember that because Firo Pi, which is the community college nationals, that was one of them that it was questionable. Right. When all the news was breaking out about the pandemic, people were like, is this happening? Is this really getting canceled? Are we really? Oh my God. It actually canceled. I remember that year. It was everyone remembers that year.
I remember that too. Like with my team, I remember every single day was different. Like the chances of like state happening went lower and lower. And then like, I remember state got canceled and we were like, okay, there's still a tiny chance Firo happens.
Yeah.
And then we were like, no, Firo is not happening.
Oh man. Yeah. That was just sad times. But so Tristan, you joined in 2020. Do the two of you team up that year?
No, yeah. We were both with different partners. Brenna was partnered with Tanya Probacher, who ended up having like a really successful career in NFALD at Western Kentucky. And I was with her little sister, Richard Probacher, for a year. And after the end of that year, Brenna's partner graduated, and then we were put together.
Okay, so 2021 was y'all's first year together.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so before that, so how did y'all do with the other partners? Because I mean, this has been sort of a dynamic duo for multiple years now. I wanted to get a little insight on how were you with other people?
So when I was with my previous partner, Richa, that was still like my novice year. So I was still like really starting out, just having like a little bit of success in novice for our first couple of tournaments, and then just like absolutely getting destroyed in all of our open tournaments from that point on up until like nationals where things kind of calmed down a little bit and we kind of hit our stride. But yeah, we weren't super competitively successful that first year. It's a lot of like getting over that learning curve of like what is partly and what is competitive debate. And yeah, so I think that first year was a little bit like rougher for me.
Okay. So Brenna, how was your initial partnership with somebody else?
Yeah, so I partnered with Tanya. Tanya's just fantastic. Like she's an amazing competitor, and she had like been competing for I think a year or two before me, and so she was kind of taking me under her wing, and so that was really good and a really positive experience. It was like stressful being with like a partner who like was so much more experienced than me, and having to go through that learning curve, but I learned a lot from her. And we were like, I'd say like we were pretty competitively successful on like the CC circuit, but like definitely like nowhere near like breaking at like national circuit tournaments or anything like that. But we were pretty successful on the CC circuit.
Okay. So that first year, now you come back a second year. How did this partnership happen? Was this something that you chose, or was it more the coaches?
It's actually kind of funny. I remember like after nationals ended in spring 2021, like people were talking and we were like, and I was like telling people like around the team like that I was close with. I was like, you know what, I really want to debate with Tristan, but I don't know if Tristan wants to debate with me, and I don't know like what our coaches want us to do. And it was kind of like all very like rumors, and like I was like, I don't know, like whispers, and then eventually I heard Tristan wants to partner with you too. And so I like texted Paul and I'm like, have you heard these rumors? I was like, no, yeah, you're gonna debate together.
Okay. So it's almost it's so funny how debate partnerships are their own type of relationship, but they still have a whole lot of overlap with all other types of relationships. I mean, it's almost like you had to pass notes in class, to get, noticed by the other person and things like that. Yeah, I remember my last year of debate, we had a little bit of that sort of turmoil where the coaches wanted this partnership to happen, the debaters wanted another partnership to happen, and there's just a whole bunch of drama and things like that. But it's nice when it just kind of works out. So did you guys just click right away? Was there some growing pains?
I feel like we kind of clicked right away.
Yeah.
I think that our skill sets, like, I think our skill sets really align, but I also think that like our demeanors really align, and like our competitive demeanors and like how we approach like debate. I think that's like one thing that like Paul always really noticed when he was coaching us, is we just like really balance each other out. At least that's my take on it. I don't know if it was tumultuous for you.
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, I think after that first year, like we really like settled in really fast to like our kind of like roles as teammates and friends, and like I don't know. Yeah, we ended up like I think like I would not have continued doing debate past transferring to Berkeley had it not been for Brenna, just because I don't know if you can tell, but we do live together. We're also friends. And she's like the one of the biggest relationships in my life, and it's like also really cool that we get to debate together. But yeah, I would not have continued doing debate if I didn't get to debate with like my best friend. So
excellent. So how is it being coached by, was Paul your main coach, would you say? Yeah.
At community college, yeah.
Yeah, community college. Okay. Because he just recently got the full-time gig there. Well, congratulations to him if he's watching this. So give me a little bit of insight. Like, what's that? How did you work with Paul? How did that sort of like relationship go?
So I had already like been pretty close with Paul because me and him had worked like pretty closely the year before. So he like knew me as like this kind of like neurotic teenager who was like very, dedicated, and like Tristan was like, kind of like just normal, focusing on school, but also just happened to be very talented at debate. And so, yeah, Paul was just like a really good facilitator and like really good, like really, really supportive, like knew that we wanted to do national circuit stuff eventually. And so like tried his best to like take us to national circuit tournaments when he could. And he was just like so supportive and always like really believed in us past his like own capacity as like our coach. Like he always like was of the belief that we were going to be successful like past our time at community college, and that like really motivated us.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the decision to go to Berkeley. Was that always in the cards for both of you, or was it sort of a decision that you made as a partnership?
So definitely was a decision that I think we both came to independently, like just based on like the schools that we got into and like what we wanted kind of out of like a college experience. And it ended up being this like really cool, fun, like net benefit that choice meant that we could keep debating together. Yeah. But I do remember like going to Cal Day, which is like the big recruiting event for like UC Berkeley as a campus, where like prospective students come and they try to figure out like, okay, is this someplace I want to go? And I remember going to that together and meeting like the PDAB squad and just like feeling like, okay, like this is like the right choice for both of us.
Okay.
Yeah. Meeting like June and Amanda, I remember specifically with like their national trophies. And I remember at that time, I was just such a big fan of June and Amanda. I didn't really know them. And so I was really intimidated. But Tristan was like, let's go talk to them. And we talked to them and asked them about joining the team. And they were like super welcoming and just like also super just like, I don't know. They're like debate celebrities to me kind of, but they're just like normal college students and so kind and welcoming. And so that was like really nice because then we were a little bit nervous about like, you know, like what's debate at Berkeley going to be like. But after meeting them, it really like soothed a lot of our fears. And we're like, okay, this will be good.
It is interesting. Like, so Parley Debate at Berkeley has had a very long and successful existence, and so I remember like even 20 years ago when I was debating, they were still, you know, the group to beat as well. So I'm glad to see that legacy is living on. What's that squad like? Because it is fairly unique in that there isn't a coaching staff. How do you adapt to that? How do you accommodate like all the what you need to do to be as successful as you have been?
I think joining PDAB was like a really important like transition in our careers, coming from like, you know, being coached by Paul and just like never having to worry about prep, always having files written for you, having like so much support that you don't really have to develop any kind of like autonomy as a debater. I think going from that to a more kind of like loosely structured debate environment was really important for us to kind of develop like our own identities as debaters outside of like just like this machine that was like Paul and like DVC.
Yeah.
And I think like that's something that it's a hard transition at first to go from like that kind of environment to something that's more like PDAB. But I think it was definitely necessary for us in a lot of ways. And then on top of that, it's just like a really fun environment to learn debate in, because like Brenna was saying, like we have like all these parasocial relationships with debaters where we're like, oh my gosh, like I've been watching you around since I was like 18 years old or like 15 years old in Brenna's case. And then you meet them and like it was just so fantastic, like getting to learn from the people that you looked up to for so long. And that was something that's just super unique about PDAB is like people come back. And even though we don't have like that kind of like institutional support, it's like you have like this network of like friends who just basically just like spend their weekends like, hey, can I like travel with you to a tournament? And it's like definitely a lot more loosely structured, but there's something like really, really cool about that environment and very unique.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Well, you're talking about like debate celebrities. You're now the debate celebrities, right?
I don't know about that one.
It's okay. It's okay. Like talk yourself up on this. So you transfer into Berkeley. It's a bit of an adjustment. I did not look up like your record from the last couple of years. I heard about your national championships, but how did your first year at Berkeley go?
That's a great question. So actually, like This was like when the learning curve like really, really hit. Like
Okay.
the whole year, we had a huge squad our first year, like a
Oh,
huge squad. And a lot of like hybrids too. And so like a lot of people who didn't go to Berkeley. And so it was like we were like we had a whole squad of like students who were like continually like breaking, and we were in that group that was continually breaking, and then we were getting knocked out like immediately.
yeah.
So, like every tournament we were making quarters and then dropping.
Mm.
And it was really like soul crushing for us because, you know, after like our CC careers, we were like, all right, you know, just like got to get a little faster and then we're going to crush the nat circuit.
Right, right.
And that wasn't what was happening. And so we were really like stressed. And I think also a big part of it was both of us were adjusting to life like at Berkeley, like both like moving out of like our parents' house and like being independent and like having to manage like the Berkeley school load, which is like, you know, took up so much of our time. And so our first year was like pretty rough actually.
Oh, yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, we didn't win a single tournament until nationals. Nationals was the first tournament we won last year.
Okay. You qualified for NPTE though? Was that?
Yeah, we
And
still did. But NPTE was really weird last year where it was like super small. So it didn't really matter.
Okay. Did your approach to debate change at all? Did the Berkeley debaters offer a different, I don't know, like different strategies or different outlooks on debate than you experienced at DVC?
I mean, I think one thing that I was really appreciative of from like the coaches was very much just a mindset of like, find what you want and like we'll help you do it. Like literally whatever you want to do, like we can help you do it. Like they're not going to do things for us or like be like, oh, you should debate like this. But they will support us and have the capacity to support us in any like style of debate or like any like positions that we want to read. And so yeah, it was just like definitely having to just like, you know, develop that autonomy as Tristan was saying. And I don't think like honestly our style of debate has changed much since like we were at CC. We didn't really adopt more of like, you know, what maybe people stereotype as like the Cal or like the Berkeley style of debating. I think we just like were able to like level up more through like our coaching.
Okay. What would you say, like, if people describe Cal as having a style, if you've heard that before, what would you be able to describe that?
I think like last year was like, well, I think historically it's been that very fast, very technical like form of debate where people are reading, you know, I think some of the positions that I just associate with like PDAB in general as a team is like Orientalism and Buddhism and like these criticisms became like their signature like positions and executing them in this very fast and very technical kind of way.
Okay.
I think one thing that like kind of made it clear to us that there was still like this sort of looming like idea that people had around Berkeley that I guess we didn't fit was I remember after I think it was maybe at NPTE last year, we had a judge tell us after like voting for us being like, I never thought I'd see the day where Berkeley reads one-off BizCon. Well, that's
okay. So is Berkeley fairly known for like just diving into these critical positions? Is that pretty
not just K's? I just say like Berkeley has historically been just like very technical, like has I think like shaped the game in terms of like tech. Like I think Berkeley has like Trevor Greenan and like everyone that came after them like really like I think shaped the path of Parley and how people approach Parley by like just I don't know how to describe it other than just like so technical at like such a high level to a point that I think it became frustrating for people because like a lot of these teams were just like so good and doing things in a way that like Parley wasn't used to before.
Okay. You remember of course you remember your final round at NPDA last year, yeah?
Yeah.
What was the topic? What side were you on?
I think it was like the United Nations should adopt a first contact like policy. So
First contact.
Yeah, first contact doctrine. So aliens, it's like the sickest topic in the world. We were so stoked. The prep at that point was just nuts. We had like Alex Lee, we had Lila Lavender, we had June, we had Amanda, we had Gabe Graville, like just all of like our Parley goats, just like prepping us out on like aliens. And we were neg.
You're neg. Okay. And
yeah, I think so. This was the first time I hadn't been nervous for like a round, because like after we beat the quarters curse, like after we made it out of quarters of NPDA, which was like the first time all year we had done that, it was like the nerves and the anxiety started to like wash away, and it's like, okay, like we actually like have a shot of winning. So I think like that prep was just so fun, because it was just such a like fun and silly and exciting topic, and like we just had like this like phenomenal prep room. And then we get in there and they reject the topic, and we have like a framework T debate. And I don't know, Brenna, I feel like you have more thoughts on like the actual round.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. This is why I think like me and Tristan have demeanors that balance each other, is because I was like so nervous. I'm like before every round, I'm just like absolutely like shaking in my boots, nervous, like no matter who the opponent is. So it was like a pretty like, frankly, a pretty boring round, I'd say. We went one off framework T and then read case answers, and we go for framework T. It's 5-2. I mean, you know, it's
one on framework. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What reason are they given for rejecting the topic? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I think that the team was Hunter and Josh, and Hunter had this critical position about like storytelling and like indigenous epistemology, because he is indigenous, and he has like some like he has like stories about his family, and so his K was very, I think, like I'm not sure if it would necessarily like qualify as like a project K, but I think his K like really meant a lot to him. It was very good. Like I really enjoyed the position, and so I think it was just like, you know, they're in this big round with a big audience. I think that the Strat Hall is like, this is the position that matters most to the team. And so
you can make a lot of connections between indigenous cultures and first contact. I mean, like it's like there's, because a lot of the metaphors people use are exactly that, you know, and so I could see how that connection could be made. Might be
Yeah, the harms were like beautifully written. It was a really like, it was a really good criticism. And that was also like Hunter's like last NPDA, and like he's graduated now. And so like I think it was just like, it was really like, it was cool to get to see them do the thing that they had been doing all year, and even in previous years. So it was like full circle.
Yeah, it's excellent. All right, that brings us up to this year. We get started this year, and Whitman is just going on a tear at the start of the season, right?
Yeah, they knocked us out at, I believe,
Rice and Steve Hunt.
Yeah.
And they picked, I think they picked the only prelim loss against us at one of those tournaments. I think it was
Rice.
Rice.
Yeah. So, and like they had 2 closeouts? Was that? There was.
I think they had 2 closeouts at tournaments we were at. I think they had more than that though. They were kind of just going crazy. Yeah.
It's amazing. That's like, so congratulations to them as well. I mean, at the time, you hear rumors about people, you know, it's like, it's like, well, now we got a horse race for NPTE and things like that. What were you thinking at the beginning of this season?
I like in the fall, I think that like we were not really stressing, and then we had these tournaments, and I think we realized that like teams had really leveled up over the summer, specifically Whitman. I was like, after Rice, me and Tristan both were like, they've been working over the summer, like for sure. But also, I think that like we were not super nervous still, because that's kind of just like what we do. We just like phone in the fall, and then like we actually like grind in the spring. And so we were like, you know what? This is gonna be a fun year. Like this is gonna be a good year of like good rounds. Like
good.
Have gotten better.
Yeah. Okay. And NPTE rankings were. I understand the tragedy behind that, and Paul's been doing really well, getting those things back up, and so we got ourselves a tournament for that one. But what has your run been since the fall? Because that's been the stuff of legend as well. I want to make sure I get these numbers right.
I don't know them
I
off
want
the
to
top of my
say
head.
46.
46 rounds.
I would say 46 rounds we've won in a row since our last loss in October. I think.
Yeah.
Pretty flippin' amazing. And NPDA as well. I think the only ballots you dropped were in the final round. Is that right?
We dropped
one ballot in quarters.
Yeah, we would drop one ballot in quarters in the finals. Yeah.
Okay. That is pretty amazing. I also don't know of any, like we only have like memory to go off of, but teams, a back-to-back team, not just debaters, but full teams that have won nationals back-to-back. Are you the first, as far as you know?
We are.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. So let's talk about the final round this year. What was that topic?
I know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Want to go ahead, though?
It was the United Nations should intervene in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Okay. What side are you on for that one?
We're on the negative. NPDA finals, we've both been on the negative.
Yeah.
Which has been funny because we are very, I think we always see ourselves as more of an AF team. I guess that's just like what we have more fun doing. But yeah, NPDA finals, we were on the negative, which is interesting to think about.
So what usually people have roles that they take. Do you guys have stable roles that you take on for each? Yeah. Who does what?
I'm the LOMG.
Okay.
Yeah. PMMO.
All right. I had to make that switch from one to the other when I switched partners. So I understand the unique situations there. So let me throw a little curveball at you. If you were on the affirmative, what do you think your strategy would be on a topic like that? Do you, like, so many people these days are just like, oh, we're going to reject the resolution. Is that your go-to as well?
Like in general, no. I think we try to keep it flexible. I think for finals, I'm not sure. Honestly, I think that we probably would have affirmed against that team and just I think we probably would have affirmed and expected probably T and a K from them.
Yeah. Okay. What did they do? I think we talked about it on a previous episode, but screw it, I want to hear it.
Yeah, they just they wrote a topical AF. This was the resolution. But then they read this second advantage kind of about medical intervention. And then a policy making underview. And then the LOC strat call is 3 off. We end up reading T intervention. Basically intervention means it was some interp that was grounded in this one study that had been published where it's most UN intervention means this.
Okay.
So we read T intervention. Then we read a criticism, which ended up being basically feminist killjoy, and then a disad, just basically a UN credibility disad, and then just answered the AF. And that ended up being the only positions that were read in the debate. There was no MG theory or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, the MG just ends up answering the positions we read, and it's a really standard round.
Yeah,
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear, as far as things becoming standard, these underviews about policymaking as ways to sort of, I don't know, stave off a criticism. Those how recent is that addition to a sort of upper level affirmative?
I don't know if I could speak to that. I feel it's been around for as long as I've been doing debate, but it's been more popular.
I think it's because I think it was not every round. maybe 3 years ago. And I think as of like last year and this, I think it's like more recent, like the last couple of years, it's like every single round has a policymaking underview.
And that's really just to like spike out of a K? Is that what you're doing?
I think it's just to like take the pressure off the MG in responding to a criticism. And like, at least like for us, like when we started doing it, a big part was just like, I was getting through PMCs with like 2 minutes left. And I was like, okay, we'll just read this.
Yeah. All right. Got it. So what did this round come down to? What do you think was I mean, you've seen the ballots. So what did they vote on?
Yeah. So we end up going for T, kind of a repeat of last year. You know, we're on neg, we go for T. I was so nervous before. I was so nervous to go for T because this panel was very strange insofar as like, I feel like every judge really judges differently. And so I was having a really hard time like reading the panel and like trying to like get a feel for like what the collapse should be to them. And then ultimately I just go what I'm comfortable for. I go for T, and we have 2 violations, extra T, and then one about how peacekeeping operations need to take a side and how in the app, the peacekeeping intervention or operations are neutral. And so we go for both. And ultimately, I actually end up spending more time on extra T because I feel like that's the out. But I just still do go for the second interp. And the PMR also, you know, ends up spending a significant time on extra T. And as far as I can remember, and as far as the ballots say, I don't think they answered the second violation. Okay. And so I think most of the judges then vote on the second violation, which is conceded and is linked to like the standards and all that.
All right. Okay. So you have one last tournament coming up. Yeah. NPTE. Okay. You're clearly the favorites coming in. How does that feel?
It feels stressful. Yeah. It's like, it's super nerve-wracking. Yeah. Because like, you know, when last year when we were coming into NPDA, when we weren't the favorites, it's like, okay, you have something to prove, and like this is your chance to like establish yourself. And it's like this kind of like positive feeling of like this tournament is like mine to win. And now it feels like it's kind of ours to lose, you know, like there's a lot of pressure to, you know, like I don't know, I guess like keep doing what we've been doing.
No, it kind of feels like, you know, if we win, then people are like, oh yeah, well, okay. And then if we lose, people are gonna be like, you know, like, oh, you know, yes. Yeah.
Well, you got 2 back-to-back titles. There's nothing they can take away from you now. I mean, talk about stress though. Like when I did the NPTE, the final rounds were actually judged by the entire audience. I've said this before, but I'm just reliving the old glory days. So my final round was like 70 people. It's like not only that, it's the people that you beat in previous rounds. So you have to like, you know, you gotta win, but not mean, you know. You can't be. So it's like this weird balancing act. And apparently I did not balance it very well. I got like maybe 10% of the vote. So it was rough. It was rough. But Tristan, Brenna, it was a pleasure talking with you. Congratulations on all your success. It is well deserved. Thank you so much for meeting me here and speaking today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.